Hi, I'm Nancy Rhodes, founder and CEO of Alternew. I'm going to start with the TLDR. So if you guys want to look at your phones for the rest of the time, you're more than welcome to. But this is what I'm going to be talking about. So I think a lot about taxonomy and how we talk about distribution and how we talk about different stakeholders. I'm a non-technical founder. We will get into that. It helps people across industries, functions, and expertise levels understand the same problem in each other's languages. Again, I don't think we speak the same language, maybe like as we're speaking, but there will be no code in this presentation, just so you know. I've seen a few of them. I'm like, nope. Distribution is built through clarity. Clearer language lets you test channels faster, but that doesn't happen without understanding taxonomy and connecting with different stakeholders. And then the third piece is that credibility compounds. When everyone can build faster, trust, language, and consistency become harder to copy. So, without further ado, as I said, I'm not a technical founder. I was a young, happy person. I wanted to be a fashion designer since I was 3 years old, and then guess what? I became a fashion designer. So, having said that, let's go into that. This is what shoe design, which is what I ended up doing, looked like. What you see is a bunch of materials, a bunch of shoes. I'm gonna show you a little video. This is an injected factory. So sometimes when you're wearing shoes, they're cheaper, they're done in a factory, goes through, builds, distributes. This is what distribution always looked to me. So when people said distribution, this is what I thought it was. There's also a picture at the bottom, I'm so sorry, of me when I got bit by a dog in China, and that's a conversation for another day, but I ended up on a plane going somewhere to a hospital at 2 a.m. Great. So there we are. Let me go to the next. So, taxonomy. The reason I think about this is because as a designer, I was in a position where I was making more product all the time. I was selling to Beyoncé and Kenneth Cole, but most of my career was Costco, Target, Marshalls, TJ Maxx. I basically came to a point where I didn't feel challenged in what I was doing, and I think that potentially you guys have a point at which you're like, you feel like you're maybe doing the same thing every day. So I ended up, through happenstance, getting my master's in sustainability, and a friend said to me one day, you know, when I was in college, I would do alterations as a way to make extra cash, and that's what kind of brought me here today, and Alternew is what we're doing, which I'm actually not going to talk about too much, because what I want to talk about is sustainability. I am a master's in sustainability. That is my passion and what I do. But the problem is, I say the word sustainability, and every single person in this room thinks of something different. They either think, oh, sustainability, that's the usual part, or it's environmental sustainability, how dare you waste products, or it's social sustainability, like someone's trying to be good with their products, but they're maybe don't have the great social, I'm saying this incorrect. You understand what I'm saying. There's a lot of different pieces to it. All to say, what sustainability is, what circularity is literally sustaining resources, keeping them in use, being more efficient with them. It's no different than what you try to do with software. That got me into thinking about distribution. When I was talking to Scott about distribution, he's like, I have this really good idea. And I was like, okay, distribution. And I start thinking about the shoes going through the factory. I start thinking about logistics. And I was like, well, what is distribution to you? And so then you start to come up with these different things. We have all these words that we explain differently that create these very tumultuous and inconsistent conversations because you're talking about different things even though you're saying the same words. So these are a few things that I have kind of written down for that. I worked with one of my engineers, and we went into ChatGPT, and I asked what distribution looks like in shoes. He asked what distribution looks like in shoes. We asked the same question, and what this is basically saying is, if I do it, I get a very linear, simple way to describe it. If he gets it, it's a much more, like, I don't want to say valuable, but it's a totally different thing. All to say, I think you guys are rock stars. Everyone in this room, I was actually like very intimidated to come here and speak to you. And I literally pitched in front of 400 people last night, and I will do it again tomorrow, and I was most nervous for this. But all to say, there is this opportunity, if you're looking at this, and you guys know this, I can't get the same outcome in asking a question of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever that you can coming from your experience. And then we also asked what distribution looks like in technology. And again, it gave me this very kind of simple answer. And Jose got this very kind of, I would say, eloquent. I will leave that to you guys to tell me. So this part is, we've talked about distribution. Now it's like the how, the why, the where, the what. We got to the point where I'm connecting with people, I'm learning languages. Now you can test channels faster, you can find what resonates, you can turn that attention into trust. So here are all the different ways in which we distribute. I'm pretty good at it. So this is pre-AI. I will walk into any room and talk to anyone about anything. I was at an event and said this woman had a nice dress, and a few minutes later she was a Bloomberg reporter, and a few months later I got a call like, hey, we're gonna have a piece on like tariffs and resale. Do you wanna come on? I was like, yes, I do. So all to say, I don't want to say that AI is changing anything. It just creates so much more opportunity, and number one is so much more cross-functional collaboration. And that is literally why I'm standing in front of you. If nothing comes out of this, just come say hi to me and talk to me. Like, I just want to know everything about you guys. So again, I host events. So LinkedIn, pretty good, 92,000, that's another day. 9,200 followers. I host events quarterly. I have partnerships with a ton of people. I've been in the press. We've been in WWD, Sourcing Journal. There's Scott at our last event. I had him as a facilitator, and we're actually co-hosting an event during Tech Week called Is Software the New Fast Fashion, which I'm very excited about, and I hope you all come. I took a newsletter. In 2019, I started an email that I still have. It is now 700 people. What I've done today is kind of compounded that, made it more visual, and I will get to why this is important momentarily, but follow the repair era. So this is where we've taken taxonomy, we've taken relationships, we've taken clarity, and we've turned it into a way, let's see if I can get to this, great, that I've been able to build a very quick, and I don't need to show it to you because everybody's gonna show you, this is what it looks, it's so cool. You will see it. It's basically, full flow into how we do this. I won't take you through the secret sauce, but like for us, Alternu is a platform that embeds tailoring, care, and repair into the shopping experience. So we help brands connect their customers with local tailors, care guidance, et cetera. And this is a way that I can show a very technical, wonderful person what I'm thinking without like drawing it on a piece of paper. So let me go back. This is okay. I'm so sorry. We got there. There. This is another version. I basically had a potential customer who, hopefully this closes soon, but she said, my boss wants to find a tailor, do you have a good option? And I'm like, this is my chance, right? Like, this is not about, like, when you say tailor, I think this is a quick story, but when you say tailor, you think, okay, who's a good tailor? I liken it to French fries. You can get French fries at McDonald's, you can get French fries at Per Se, you know exactly why you're paying what you're paying. You have the chef's experience, you have the restaurant location, you have the atmosphere. When it comes to tailoring, it's like good tailor, bad tailor. There's so much more nuance to it. So I was able to build out a very quick, without bothering an engineer to say, build this for me. Thank you, Lovable. But it's, shows these different pieces, so I was able to show it to them in a way without bothering anyone that helped move the conversation forward. Okay? So, next is that credibility compound. So I've now been able to speak a language, connect with people, learn from them. Thank you, Chuck, in the room, who has been one of those people who has taught me things along the way. And now that has been into this idea of credibility. Yes, I was on Bloomberg. Yes, I worked for Beyoncé. I used that at the beginning of my pitch, but it's not going to close deals. So what I want to show you is, for us at Alternu, this is about tailwinds. And so when Scott and I spoke, we were talking about this idea of distribution and talking about, he was saying, how do you get above the noise? And so in marketing, they say above the line. And again, back to taxonomy, once you start to understand that every industry has different ways to describe the same thing, you can actually see different frameworks. You can see different ways to understand them. And I really hope the next prompt you give ChatGPT when you're doing something is like, what would another industry describe this as? So for us, it's like regulation is a big part of what we're building. I can get into it. That's the big one I'm going to talk about for now. Consumers, you have like GLP-1s. There's a bunch of news, which anytime anything comes out in the news, and I'm sure you guys have had this, about tailors, someone sends it to me. GLP-1s, there's like a huge shortage of tailors. You have, thousands, millions of views of hashtag repair, mending on TikTok, et cetera. But let's stick with the regulation piece. So I built basically a future 501(c)(3) in a morning. Again, I'm not trying to say AI made it happen. I'm saying I had all these ideas in my head, and I was able to turn it into a way that we are actually speaking to regulatory implementation groups as part of a planning for a California regulation. So by doing this, not only have I had the ideas, but now I can own them. And I think that's actually been part of the problem, is there's so much out there. How do you own content? So it's not just about throwing content out there, it's about creating content that if the right person sees it, you have a big opportunity. So we were able to kind of build out this Ownership Intelligence Lab, the OI Lab, or as I like to say, OIL. Oh, thank you. I was like, I thought it was funny. The irony. So then we go into, as I said, content. Like, who's looking at your content? Like, who actually puts out content? Okay. All right. We got two hands on someone. Okay. So all to say, when you put out content, you kind of drive that into what you're building. And so what Alternu is the infrastructure for ownership. And so this is the cover of our deck page. It went from, the future of tailoring, the future of whatever, to now we are this massive opportunity. And now we've built a kind of non-profit-like system with it, and we've built a LinkedIn with it, and we've built all of these different pieces that will drive credibility into the business that we're bringing. This is what it looks like. I just wanted to make sure you had a chance to see. This is the flow, which I can show you. This is the opportunity. So we are working with Primark. We should not be. We are too, like, don't say that. We should be. We're a huge company, massive. But the thing is that this is all about visibility. It's all about expanding your opportunities. So how can you create ways for people to understand what you do at mass? Finally, this is where here's what I still do. I will literally come to all of you. Please come up and say hi. You're a very quiet audience. So learn from other people in other industries. I still spend 12 hours putting a deck together. I still throw spaghetti against a wall. I still ask for referrals. I still save ideas. I still look for patterns, but I still build just because I can. I think it's super fun. What I don't do, personalized cold outreach. If you do it, fine. What I don't do is answer emails from personalized cold outreach, because that is what a lot of people are doing with AI. And then what I do now is use AI as a thought partner, not a thought leader. And so my only takeaway, again, from the taxonomy to distribution to credibility, is just make friends and talk to them. And if you don't understand what they're saying, try to. Thank you.